Hey there, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name's Mike Spigunski. I'm the founder of Global Career and the best-selling author of Global Career: How to Work Anywhere and Travel Forever. Over the past decade, I've been working and traveling all around the world, and my journey's taken me to more than 85 different countries. And now I love sharing the knowledge that I've accumulated with others through public speaking, through contributing articles for entrepreneur.com, and of course with my best-selling book. So over the past decade, I've been working internationally and remotely, and this experience has provided me with a really unique 360-degree view of the remote workforce. Whether it was with building an 8-figure remote company, scaling it from 5 people to 75 people, or even running my own remote company, Global Career. Hey everyone, I'm going to switch over to a screen recording now, just so I add a little bit of a visual element for you. And essentially, if you're going to stick around for this presentation, I'm going to teach you how to 10x your remote job application responses and 10x your number of interviews. Now, go ahead and make sure that you get comfortable, and this is going to be around 30 minutes. And if you do stick around at the end, I'm going to have a few freebies for all of those people that stay to the end. So get comfortable, make sure you put away any distractions, and let's go ahead and dig right into this. Now, just a bit more background about myself. I mentioned earlier, my name is Mike Spigunski. I'm currently based overseas in Tbilisi, Georgia. I've been working and traveling around the world for more than 10 years now, and my journey's taken me to more than 85 different countries. Around 2 years ago, I published a #1 best-selling book called Global Career: How to Work Anywhere and Travel Forever. Now, this book has gone on to help thousands of people start their own global careers by working remotely and living overseas and building a lifestyle that they absolutely love. In addition to this, I've helped build one of the fastest growing remote companies in the United States, and this has given me a really unique 360 perspective on what the remote workforce is looking for in candidates and how you can actually expedite your hiring process to make sure you get a job that you love much faster than if you're going to do it on your own. Just to give you a little bit more background about my accomplishments, because I think it's important to showcase and highlight some of the achievements I've made. That way you know that you're getting information and instructions from somebody who is an actual expert. Now, the internet is full of lots of people who make these crazy bold claims but don't have any actual data to back it up. So you can Google my name on Amazon and you'll find the #1 best-selling book, Global Career, and you can pick up a copy today. I highly recommend it. If you're interested in any of this stuff that I'm talking about today, you're going to absolutely love this book. Global Career and my story have actually been featured on Forbes, Lonely Planet, and entrepreneur.com. And I actually write bi-weekly articles for Entrepreneur on remote working, on travel, and on entrepreneurship. So all of this stuff is going to help you start working remotely and living overseas. So you're going to want to stick around. And I think there's going to be some really good gems that are going to really help you amplify your remote life and get started today. And one last thing to note is I have a lot of testimonials and a lot of reviews, which I'll share towards the end, just so you know that you're in good hands. You can check out my book on Amazon. I have more than 130 5-star reviews, and I guarantee you'll also get a lot of value out of the book if you pick up a copy today. Now, one thing I mentioned earlier is I was one of the first employees at a company called Empire Flippers, and I helped grow the company from around 5 or 6 people to more than 75 people spanning the globe. And this has given me a really great insight into the remote work industry and kind of what people are looking for when they're hiring remote employees. So over the years, I've looked at thousands of different resumes. I've helped onboard a lot of different candidates through the hiring process. And it's something that I've worked with in a lot of different countries, and particularly in the United States. So it's given me a unique insight from hiring my own personal employees, what it looks like from that end, to actually being a job seeker on the other end, where you are probably looking for a job at this moment. So it's given me a really good perspective on both sides of the table. Now, just a bit of a brief overview of this presentation and this training. I'm going to talk about some of my top resume tips. Then I'm going to talk about the job search. Where can you look for remote jobs that are actually legitimate? Then nextly, how can you fine tune your application process to really stand out? Now, there's a lot of job seekers out there, and you really need to be in the 1%. And that's exactly what we help people do with our Remote Life program. And I'll have some more information on that towards the end. And then lastly, one of the things that a lot of people struggle with in the job search process is the interview process. And this is because anytime you go to an interview, you seldomly get actual feedback from the person who's interviewing you. But we've got some creative ways to improve your interview skills. And I'll also go over some of my top interview tips to make sure that you get hired next time you have an interview. Over the years, I've looked at thousands of different resumes, and there's a lot of recurring problems that I see. There's some resumes that I see that are really good, there's some that are bad, and there's some that are absolutely ugly. I'm going to talk about the top 3 mistakes that I see on resumes, how to make sure that your resume is a good resume in 2020, and how to make sure you format it for finding remote jobs. Now, the first and biggest mistake I see on resumes is people just listing their roles or responsibilities. Your resume should not read like a job description. It should focus on results and value you added to your previous employers. Now, this is the biggest area that a lot of people fail at, is taking what they did at a previous role and presenting it to a new company and showing them that, okay, I did this at my previous employer and you're looking for somebody who can do this. So here's the experience that I had, here's what I achieved, and here's the results that I was able to accomplish, and I can do the same thing for you. So being able to match that up and make sure that each resume is focusing on the results you achieved with previous employers and how you can do the same thing or even achieve more with a new employer. So the content is so important. A lot of people get stuck with focusing on the aesthetics of a resume, which is important. But in the end, the content is going to be the king for making sure your resume is quality. And this is the number one area I see people struggling with. And coming in at number 2 is not formatting your resume to be ATS optimized. And that stands for the applicant tracking systems. Essentially, a lot of big employers and remote employers utilize applicant tracking systems because they get overwhelmed with a large amount of resumes. This software is going to review your resume and see if you're a good fit for the role based on the number of keywords that you use and compare those to the job description. So if you don't have the right keywords on your resume, it's going to be very difficult to actually get your resume seen by a human at the company. So making sure your resume is ATS optimized is absolutely essential. Moving in at number 3 is the formatting. A lot of times people really get too creative. It doesn't need to be a super creative thing. Your resume needs to look good, it needs to look sharp and professional. But again, most people focus on the aesthetics, which unless you're applying for a role as a designer or some type of job that requires these skills, you don't really need to focus so much on that. Focus more on the actual content of your resume than how it looks. Now that might be a little unintuitive. It still needs to look polished and professional. You can make sure that the content is high quality and focusing on results that you've actually achieved. You can make sure that it's ATS optimized. And then finally, making sure that it looks professional, but don't go overboard with the aesthetics. Now, there's a common misconception out there that you need to have development experience or you need to be some type of coder to land a remote job, but that couldn't be further from the truth. And today I'm going to dive in and talk to you about the top 5 most common remote jobs that you can get started with today. Now let's go ahead and dig into all of these remote positions. Now, before I share with you the top 5 most common remote jobs, I want to talk to you about how we found this knowledge and how we found this data. So we did a search analysis on these remote terms. So there are a lot of people looking for these positions and there are a lot of people searching for these jobs. So the first job on our list is a data analyst. And this is a professional that is really good with numbers. They can work with all sort of data and present large pieces of information in a simple manner that the management team can dissect. And based off of this data, they're going to be able to make analysis about how they should maybe continue growing in one area of their company versus another. It's a very important role. And the search volume per month was around 74,000 searches, an exponent of 3.76. That's the increase over time. And the average salary for this role is around $62,000 per year. But that range can be anywhere from 43,000 all the way up to 93, and even some 6-figure jobs out there. This is a really great role if you are good with numbers. The second one on our list is virtual assistant. I'm sure a lot of you who are looking into remote work have come across virtual assistant roles. If you're fluent in many types of administrative services, then a virtual assistant is going to be a great role for you. This is commonly known as a VA, and it's a great position to consider because you don't need a ton of specific skills. You just need to be very on top of things, organized, and be a self-learner, being able to figure out how to do things on your own. This is going to be really helpful for landing a virtual assistant role. This role has 27,000 searches per month, an exponent of 3.73%. The average salary is a little bit lower, $26,000 per year, but you can find some jobs on the higher range that range from 19,000 all the way up to 43,000. If you're looking for something a little bit higher paid, you can search for executive assistant positions, and this is a much higher paid job title. Depending on what experience you have, this might be a better fit for you. The third job on our list is social media manager, and this is such a cool position. There is a lot of need for this, and it pays pretty well. If you're really good on Facebook, Instagram, social media, if you really enjoy writing content, sharing photos, and engaging with audiences and potential customers, then a social media manager is going to be a great position for you. If you've built up your own personal following, that could be a great thing to leverage to get you a job as a social media manager. This job has had 22,000 searches per month, has an exponent of 3.55%, an average salary of $50,000 per year, but that can range from $35,000 on the low end all the way up to $72,000 on the high end. And this is a really fun role. Number 4 on our list is digital marketer. And I love this because I have a marketing background. But digital marketers are great at helping companies promote and sell their product. It all boils down to that. They're able to take their brand and make it easy for customers to find out about, to figure out what they do, and to really present the value that the company is able to add and what their product or service is able to help the customer achieve in exchange for their money. So most digital marketers are very knowledgeable about the online marketing sector, anything from social media, paid traffic, email automation, content production. These are all going to fall under the digital marketing and the digital marketing manager positions. So if you're looking for something, this is kind of an entry-level job for digital marketer, but it can go up to from digital marketer to digital marketing manager, supervisor, or director, and eventually to the CMO role. So this job has a lot of searches at 49,500, has an increase or exponent of 3.17%, an average yearly salary of $57,000, but has a wide range from $37,000 on the low end all the way up to $89,000 on the high end. And now our number 5th job on the list is a product manager. And a product manager is going to be responsible for planning the development and marketing for a product. They're masters of the global supply chain, and they're really great at helping companies find products that are going to sell. So they do some research to figure out which product is a good fit for the company. And that way, when they launch this product, it has a much higher chance for success. So this job pays a lot. It has 27,000 searches per month, an exponent of 2.3%, an average yearly salary of $108,000 per year, and the salary range is $71,000 on the low end, all the way up to $146,000 on the high end. So the first place I would recommend to get started for finding a non-technical remote job would be our very own job board. It's called globalcareer.io. And this is a free platform for job seekers. Essentially, we're going to be posting new jobs that are marketing, sales, customer service, copywriting, blogging, that type of job that you don't need any sort of development or any type of technical background. This is going to be a job board that's free for job seekers, and it's going to be dedicated to non-technical remote jobs that you can work from anywhere from the comfort of your home. So if you haven't yet, make sure to head over to globalcareer.io and start finding your remote job. The second place that I always recommend is for people interested in more of a freelancing type of position. Upwork is one of the biggest freelancing websites out there, and you can go ahead and create a profile for free and start applying for jobs. And these jobs are going to vary on any type of skill set you have. I would say if you're just getting started off, any type of writing portfolio that you can put together is going to be one of the easiest ways to find work. Now, there's a lot of other opportunities out there. I would go ahead and just spend some time researching what path you want to go down, trying to find other people who are kind of where you're at on Upwork, and trying to replicate and figure out what they're doing correctly. Having a very good portfolio is going to be hard if you're just getting started, but you can go ahead and build your own website. You can create your own content, and that's something you can easily share with people looking to hire you on Upwork. And the last place is if you're looking to find another remote job. Let's say you've already exhausted the globalcareer.io. Another good option out there is Angel's List. So if you go to angel.co, it's another good option and have really good search criteria. So they're not traditionally all based for remote jobs, but what you can do is you can create a really strict filtering system, put in the type of job you're looking for, add in remote, and then you can also adjust the salary range. And that's one thing I really like about that platform is it allows you to add in the salary options. If there's any equity in the startup, always just add in whatever job you're looking for, add in the remote tag for the filter, and that's going to give you all the remote jobs that are available in the industry you're looking for.
3 on the list is the application process. And I work with a lot of students where this is another area where a lot of people struggle. And one of the things that I want to talk about is how essentially are you going to add value to a new employer? This is something you really need to consider as you're reading job descriptions is you need to put yourself in their shoes and determine what you've done in the past and how that's going to help fill the shoes of this new position. So essentially taking a look at what the company is looking for, taking your previous experiences and trying to find that alignment. That's where it's going to be the most essential part in displaying your value that you can add to this new role and this new company. The next thing is you want to be in the top 1%. The top 1% of job seekers are going to always get asked to come on board for an interview. And there's a really good mix of finding the right amount of quality. This is time you spend on an application. If you're not spending around 30 to 45 minutes on each application, then you really need to reconsider your approach. You need to find the perfect balance of quality and quantity. You can't just apply for one job a week. That might work for some people, but again, you need to find the balance. And I like to recommend people coming somewhere in the middle where you're spending 30 to 45 minutes making a really detailed and customized application, and then making sure that you're staying consistent and applying for enough jobs every day so that you do have a really good consistent amount of companies reaching out to you to get an interview. So quality and quantity is key to be in the top 1% of job seekers. Now, the last 3 application tips that I have for you is number 1, to make sure that each one of your job applications is custom. No repeated answers. Don't just copy and paste stuff. You really need to tweak stuff and make sure that you're giving authentic and genuine customized answers for each application you're filling out, and making sure that your resume is adjusted accordingly. So if you're applying for sales jobs, you need to have a sales resume. If you're applying for marketing jobs, you also need to have a separate marketing resume. And even with those, you should make some minor adjustments for each job that you apply for. The next thing is that after you've applied for the job, it's really great to reach out to the hiring manager or somebody that you think is potentially going to be hiring for this position. Send them an email, but add some value to that email. Kind of reiterate why you know you're a great fit for the role. Highlight 2 to 3 areas of expertise where you know you'd be a good fit. I guarantee that'll put you on the map of the hiring process. And then lastly is I work with a lot of job seekers that they don't know how many jobs they've applied for. They have no way to track it. And that's one thing we help out in our Remote Life program is in every one of these 3 areas, making sure you're organized, on target, and meeting your goals to land your next remote job.
Interviewing is such an important part of the job hiring process, and it's really one of the most important aspects. So a lot of people struggle with this because there isn't a lot of great ways to improve your interview skills. Starting off at tip number 1 is having a mock interview. Now, in the Remote Life program, which you can find details about it in the description below, we have a big emphasis on improving our students' interview skills. And this is done with an interview expert, which essentially hops on a call with our students and gives live feedback on their responses. The main problem with interviewing is a lot of people don't have any way to improve their interview skills. If you have 10 interviews with different companies, you're going to get more comfortable with interviewing, but you might not get that feedback on what you're saying. You might be saying some of the wrong things, and you'll never get that insight unless you have a mock interview with an industry expert. So this is why it's such an important part of our program. And again, having a mock interview is going to be absolutely essential in improving your interview skills. Now, if you don't have time to enroll in our program and you want to get better at interviewing, the next best way is to hop on a phone call with friends and family or somebody that you're not super comfortable with. Again, it might be a lot easier to talk with your parents than strangers. So do try to find somebody that you can have an interview with. They can ask you 10 or 15 questions. And most importantly, record this interview, watch it, and make notes on how you can improve it moving forward. And tip number 2 is to be prepared. Again, you need to go through, look at your resume, and have 10 to 15 sample questions and answers prepared. You need to go through and practice these questions. You should not read from a script and you should not have these questions up, but you should have a general consensus on what you're going to say if you're asked these questions. You want to make sure that you're implementing your previous work experience and results to any questions that get asked. So making sure that you have 10 to 15 of these really common interview questions thought out is going to make sure that you're really prepared. And in addition to that, make sure that you have at least 2 or 3 questions to ask the employer after they've finished their interview. If you don't have anything, it shows that you're not very interested and this is your time to shine. Make sure you have at the bare minimum 2 or 3 questions to ask towards the end of your interview. It's going to show that you're much more interested in the role. Now, number 3 is a really important technique that may be hard to master, but it's called mirroring. You want to utilize this in any type of business setting. And essentially, this is going to show people that you're paying attention, you're aware, and that you actually care about the conversation. Essentially, what mirroring is taking bits and pieces of the physical and verbal cues and utilizing that in the conversation. For example, if somebody asked you a question, maybe you could repeat part of that question, which is going to allow you a lot more time to come up with a creative response to their question. Utilize mirroring, practice it, and try to come up with some unique ways where you can kind of mirror the interviewer and make sure that you're utilizing some of the same cues that they do. Mirroring is going to allow you to really come up with a lot better response to their questions, and it's going to show that you're way more in tune in the conversation. And again, it'll help make sure that you have that extra bit of time to come up with the perfect response. Job seekers, what if I could teach you how to 10x your application responses in less than 14 days? Now, there's a huge problem out there for people that are looking to find remote jobs. And I was there myself years ago, sending out hundreds of resumes and applications, but not receiving any responses. I was depressed, demotivated, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't getting replies for jobs I knew I was qualified for. Over the past few years, I've helped thousands of people jumpstart their own remote dream lives in a number of different ways. Whether it's with my best-selling book, Global Career, How to Work Anywhere and Travel Forever, or with my contributing articles for entrepreneur.com, and with the Remote Life program, I've helped thousands of people start their own global careers, and I can do the same for you. Now, if you're having any of these issues, I know I can help. Not hearing back after countless applications, having trouble finding legitimate remote jobs, and avoiding scams. Not finding the right job that pays what you're expecting, matching your skills and experience with the right remote job, or maybe you're just spending too much time and not receiving any good results. So if you checked any of these boxes, then I know for sure the Remote Life program is going to be a great fit for you. Now let's go ahead and talk about what's actually included with the Remote Life program. Now, I'll be giving you 14 days of training. This is a boot camp. So whether you're looking to go through everything step by step over 14 days or just looking to binge it like a new series on Netflix, both those options are going to be available for you. The main goal is to teach you my technique for 10xing your application responses. This means that you're going to have a much higher chance of finding remote jobs and actually getting results with those applications. The Remote Life program includes a wide variety of additional features. We're going to take a look at your resume, make sure it's fine-tuned and audited. So we'll actually go through there, make some tips, and show you what you need to do to really improve and tweak your resume. In addition to this, we'll be doing a social media overhaul, teaching you how to structure your LinkedIn and showing you what exactly you need to include. In addition to that, we'll be having trainings on where to find the best remote jobs. I have a very curated list of websites that I recommend students go on, and I'll be sharing those with you. And then we'll be having a mock interview. So we like to break down the process into 4 different areas, and one of the most important areas is the actual interview. So we'll be providing a mock interview and giving you feedback to improve your interview skills. And then the last few things, we'll be having exclusive access to my remote network of founders and CEOs. We'll also be giving you an accountability and tracking system so that way you can make sure that you're utilizing your time to the best and keeping track of the jobs that you've actually applied for. And then lastly, I'll be offering unlimited email support and access to a private Slack channel. Now, if all of these things sound like something you're interested in, go ahead and fill out the application below. It takes less than 5 minutes, and if you're approved for the program, we'll reach out to you and set up a call to go over a few of the minor details and make sure you're actually a good fit. There is a limited amount of space for the Remote Life program, so make sure you apply today. It's free to apply, and again, we'll let you know 2 to 3 business days whether you're approved to join the Remote Life program.
So if you're struggling with finding a job and you need some further assistance, I highly recommend joining our Remote Life program. It's actually free to apply, and you'll find a button right below this video where you can apply. And if you are randomly selected for a free resume audit, we give out free resume audits to applicants every week. So it really is a great thing. So it's kind of a win-win for everyone. We get to chat with you to see if you are a good fit for the program, and you get some benefits for getting a third-party expert to look at your resume. So the Remote Life program is 14 days of in-depth trainings, and you'll have 2 coaching calls with myself to make sure that everything is going in the right process. Any questions that you have, you'll also have unlimited Slack support from myself in our Slack community. So it is a really great way to make sure that you're making progress, you have accountability, and you're going to be 10xing your job interviews as soon as possible. You'll also have access to our exclusive job openings in our private network. So I get contacted by a lot of entrepreneurs that are looking to hire people directly from our program, and you'll have access to all of those job opportunities as well. Now, if you're wanting to learn more, you can go over and visit globalcareerbook.com/remote, or you can just click the button below this video and you'll be able to find information on filling out the application to join. So just to recap, here's every way we help, and we go a little bit above and beyond this even, but just to condense it, the first few weeks we're going to be perfecting your resume to make sure that it's ATS optimized, to make sure that it's completely focused on our perfect resume formula. Then we also help with a unique process to 10x your job application responses. And this is essentially going to 10x the amount of interviews you get because we have a really great tracking system, a unique technique to really help you make sure that when you are applying for jobs, you're going to stand out and be in that top 1% that get actual interviews. We'll be able to help you with a remote job interview. So we'll have an actual mock interview expert who's done hiring at Facebook and Google actually hop on the phone with you and give you a mock interview with live feedback on how you did. And then finally, we'll be sending you exclusive handpicked jobs that are catered to your resume. And we actually have a remote recruiter concierge that will be sending you 2 to 3 job openings every day that are absolutely handpicked for what you're looking for. So if you're looking to join the Remote Life program, you can get started. It takes around 5 minutes to fill out the application, and within a few days, you should be notified. We even have an automated system that, based on your criteria, will let you know if you're selected within a few seconds by filling out the program, and then you can go ahead and book a call with myself. So everything in addition to I mentioned before, we also do a LinkedIn audit where we take a look at your LinkedIn and give you some feedback to make sure that it's matching up with your resume and kind of matching up with the jobs that you want. And also making sure that you have accountability with myself and with my team. And then also just putting in a system to make sure that every part of the job seeking process, you're being helped and assisted with myself and with our team. Now, if you want to go ahead and get started and apply for our remote life program, you can visit globalcareerbook.com/remote, or there should be a button located below this video for you to apply in less than 5 minutes.
Within just, I think 3 to 4 weeks, I was able to secure a job fully remotely with a company that I really value what their vision is. And I attribute a lot of that to some of the key skills that I took away from the Remote Life program. My name's Sean Heptinstall. I'm just in the final stages of completing contracts with my first remote job. So that's with a company based in the UK in the environmental sector. The challenges that I faced when trying to find remote work was essentially where to look for jobs, the job boards, whether my skills fit in, whether there were specific programs that I wasn't familiar with yet that would be useful in these types of jobs. I wouldn't say that my typical position in sales and marketing is often represented on job boards for remote work that I could see on Indeed and some of the kind of standard British job boards. I never knew which direction to point myself in, so I had all this energy and I was convinced that this was the kind of life that I wanted to lead, but I kept getting one step into pursuing and then having to go back to square one again, and that was quite frustrating. Value for money, essentially. I would say that was the primary thing where I was thinking, okay, this is a lot of money to spend. Yes, it's an investment in my future, but will I be seeing those returns in terms of the job that I want, or the ability to work remotely, or even just in a salary, a good salary or a salary increase? There were many moments where I thought, oh, this is really useful. There's lots of information in there where I see it being useful within the position as well. So initially the reason for joining the program was to find a role, and I kind of expected that was as far as it took me. But there's lots of little gems that I've taken away from the way the program's set up. So not huge eureka moments, but lots of individual little gems that I'll find useful going forward. It took me, I would say, from start to finish about probably only 4 weeks to get the job with this company. And I applied for this company probably about midway through the course. So I don't think I'd completed the course. I spent a lot of time on the cover letter and updating my CV, because there's a real focus on the keywords that you can use for the ATS system in terms of just tracking the words that you use. So that was really, I think that armed me with the right tools. I would definitely recommend the Remote Life program. It definitely helped me find a position that I'm now, as I said, waiting to confirm contracts with. It definitely gave me a bigger view of how to look at the hiring process. So along with some of the key skills for working remotely, I think my view of how companies hire people and the tracking systems that they use to filter through CVs is really useful.
Now, thank you so much for sticking through this. I really appreciate I really appreciate your patience and for staying in tune for this whole presentation. I've got some freebies like I promised. If you head over to globalcareerbook.com/free, you'll be able to access these slides. You'll be able to access a free 115-page ebook on the top 100 remote companies. It lists great information like salary data, the career hiring pages, and a bunch of other insights on the remote work industry. Then the last thing is you'll have actual information on how to apply for a remote life program and how you can potentially win one of our randomly selected free resume audits for remote life applicants. And then lastly, there will be a link for you to pick up my best-selling book on Amazon. So make sure to grab a copy today. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you're hesitant to fill out the application or to get started, send me an email at mike@globalcareerbook.com. Visit our website at globalcareerbook.com, or just get in touch with me on LinkedIn. You can search my name. There's not too many Swigunskis, so it should be easy to find me. And again, I do answer my DMs on Instagram, so don't be hesitant to send me a message at swigmeetsworld on Instagram. Take care, everyone, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you. Hopefully, we can get on the phone and get you enrolled in the Remote Life program as soon as possible. Take care. Bye.